Trump says, he'll make America great again. It's right there. No, it's stamped on the front of his goofy hat. You want to see Goofy? Look at him in that hat. But when Donald Trump says great, I ask, great for who exactly? Yeah. For millions of kids struggling to pay for an education? For millions of seniors barely surviving on Social Security? For families that don't fly to Scotland to play golf? What kind of a man roots for people to lose their jobs, to lose their homes, to lose their life savings? I'll tell you what kind of a man. A small, insecure money grubber who fights for no one but himself.
That was Senator Elizabeth Warren campaigning with Hillary Clinton on Monday for the first time in this campaign. Donald Trump didn't even wait to hear Warren's remarks. He slammed her and Clinton ahead of their rally, tweeting, quote, "Crooked Hillary is wheeling out one of the least productive senators in the U.S. Senate, goofy Elizabeth Warren, who lied on heritage." And Trump later said Warren lied about having Native American ancestry, a lie which he says was, quote, racist. Caitlyn Huey-Burns and Lis Smith are here with me. Caitlyn is a national political reporter with RealClearPolitics, and Liz is a Democratic strategist and former 2012 campaign advisor for President Obama. Good to see you both. So this has been kind of a crazy day, right? I mean, let me ask you, Liz, to start. This having Senator Warren there with Hillary Clinton, usually the surrogates are the ones who do the attacking. We've seen both Clinton and now Warren doing that. Is that sort of different?
Well, I think we're seeing them both do it because, one, Donald Trump's a very easy target, and it really does light up Democrats. They love hearing it. And Elizabeth Warren has proven herself unique in her ability to really take on Trump and get under his skin. And what I loved about this rally, and I think what all Democrats loved about it, was the energy it brought. It was the most energetic rally I've seen this entire cycle. And you notice that Secretary Clinton really fed off Liz Warren's energy. So I thought it was a great start. I thought it was a great kickoff, really, to the general campaign. And, you know, their barbs certainly will activate the Democratic Party.
So, Caitlyn, there's been talk about perhaps Elizabeth Warren being a vice presidential pick. Give us a sense of sort of the pros and cons to that. And if she's not picked to be the VP, what do you expect her role to be in this campaign?
Well, if she's not picked, she will certainly play a key role in the Democratic campaign. You saw that energy that she brought. She has shown in past elections, midterm elections especially, to be a really excited and effective surrogate for Democrats. So she'll certainly be out there doing what she did today, whether or not she's on the ticket. She brings to the ticket that energy, that kind of rallying of the Democratic base, the progressive base that she's kind of made into her brand. She really represents that part of the party. But there are some liabilities. I mean, she and Clinton don't agree on a lot of economic issues. Warren has really pushed for the reinstating Glass-Steagall, something that President Bill Clinton repealed and something that Clinton herself does not want to bring back. And also choosing her, if elected, would make her Senate seat vulnerable for Republicans. The Republican governor would then have to replace her. And Democrats, I think that she can play, again, a VP-esque role in terms of being the attack dog and rallying the base, whether she's on the ticket.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I think the interesting thing about Elizabeth Warren is that she's not just a progressive Democrat. She's one of the few Democrats that you can really put in red states and blue states. In 2014, she was one of the most used Democratic surrogates on the campaign trail. And we saw her going to states like West Virginia, where generally they say no to D.C. Democrats. And I think that's one of her strengths that's almost underestimated.
All right, let's talk about the Republicans. More than half of the Republicans say they are not satisfied with Donald Trump as their nominee. What does the Clinton campaign do with those numbers?
I think they're certainly excited about it for a couple of different reasons. One, it's a vulnerability for Donald Trump. He's struggling to unite the party, and this is big for him because he really started to coalesce the party when he first got the nomination, or clinched the nomination effectively. Now you're seeing that dissipate. And the Clinton campaign is also looking at some good numbers for their campaign right now in terms of their own base uniting. A Washington Post ABC poll found that a month ago, 20% of Bernie Sanders supporters said they would back Trump over over Clinton. Now that number's down to 8. So that's certainly welcome news for the Clinton campaign against those lagging numbers in the Trump campaign.
But before they stop popping bottles here, in that same poll, you saw that I think it was 45% of Democrats weren't thrilled with Clinton as our nominee. So she still has work to do. I think she should let Donald Trump self-destruct to some extent, and she should try to work up her favorabilities with Democrats and build up the excitement. And that's why using assets like Elizabeth Warren, using assets like President Obama can really help her.
But and that's you bring a great point, Liz, about not popping champagne bottles yet, because in certain states that Barack Obama won handily, she's struggling.
Yeah.
I think that's so important to keep an eye on the battleground states. This is not really a national campaign, right? All these, the decision is made in these key states, Ohio, Florida, for example. And if you look at the polling there so far, these races are really close. So she definitely has to keep an eye on that. You can't just go off the national numbers.
Is it surprising to you, Liz, that that it is so close? Because when Donald Trump entered this race, everybody said, well, whoever the Democratic nominee is going to blow him out of the water. Even with the reports that the campaign is in disarray, some of the things that he says and does, there's still tight races in some of those states.
I know, and it speaks to the challenges that she still faces as a candidate. The polling shows that voters trust him more than they trust her, which is shocking to me, but it's something that the Clinton campaign needs to be realistic about. We're not running a perfect candidate against Donald Trump. We're running the most damaged Democratic nominee in history. And so we need to be conscious of that, and we need to work on building a coalition, building excitement, building just something around her so that people have a reason to vote for her and not just against Donald Trump.
You know, I was talking to Nancy Cordes about Bernie Sanders, and I guess the idea being that the reason we haven't seen him, at least not in the media for the last couple of days, is because he still has a couple of things that he wants to get on the platform. But we do expect him at some point to come out. He's already said he's going to vote for her. Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, and he said last week he would vote for her. The interesting thing about today, while I was watching Clinton and Warren, I thought, has Bernie Sanders' momentum faded?
That's what I was thinking.
You know, he could have been this person today.
Right. I mean, a lot of people said, why isn't he there? Yeah,
right,
exactly.
And he hasn't endorsed her yet. Yes, he wants to shape the platform. I think, you know, he wants to kind of stay in the race through the convention to do that. He's been campaigning against Donald Trump, not against Clinton, so that's fine as they see it. But, you know, you can't help but wonder what kind of role he could have played had he endorsed her earlier.
What do you hear, Liz?
But I think a lot of the role that he will play, and an important role, is helping down ballot candidates. Look, there's clearly was no love lost between the Sanders campaign and the Clinton campaign during this primary process, but I see a lot of his value going forward in helping to elect progressive members to the Senate, to Congress, and we've already seen him start to do that. So I do think he'll have a role to play. I don't know how much of his momentum he's hurt, but I don't think we've heard the last of Bernie Sanders.
All right, and let's get your take on this backpedaling, if you will, of Donald Trump and his proposed Muslim entry ban. His policy director, Stephen Miller, says the ban is going to be narrowed to immigrants from countries that have been terror hotbeds. He hasn't really mentioned the word Muslim in the last couple of speeches that he's given. What are you hearing about that, Caitlyn?
Right, where he's supposed to have a policy speech tomorrow on the economy, but his campaign has said that they're working also on revising this set of policy. Remember back in December, though, Donald Trump released a statement calling for the utter, complete shutdown of Muslim immigrants to the United States. It'll be very difficult for him to backpedal that. And also, all of the campaign has been saying a couple different things over the past few days, and Trump talked a little bit about it last week and again in Scotland over the weekend, but it's very unclear exactly how they're going to approach this.
They can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, he may get on a rally stage and say...
Exactly, and that's going to be the big test. We haven't seen him in that rally setting yet, and that'll test whether this, campaign pivot, as they've been talking about, is really true.
Yeah, it's I think a little late for it. We've heard so many mixed messages out of his campaign on both the building the wall and mass deportations and the Muslim ban, and it's smart politics for him to back off of it. I would have backed off of it a few months ago, but again, we need to see what he says in his words, because just hearing it from his spokespeople is not enough.
Or from the teleprompter.
Or or for the
because in other words, he's been giving some policy speeches. You can tell that he's reading them, and that's fine. I mean, I'm reading one right now, but the idea that those words were written by somebody else, when you get him Trump unplugged, if you will, it's a different story.
Yeah, but it speaks to the precarious political position he's in, where he now is backing off arguably the two platforms that helped him get elected to to be the Republican nominee, the Muslim ban and the building the wall and mass deportations.
All right. Caitlyn Huey-Burns, Lis Smith, always good to have you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.